We're right in the midst of a full schedule of summer tournaments, but today we're taking a break from the series and heading down to the Wynn in order to fire in our first high-stakes cash game session in quite a while. I have a friend in town named Varun. Boss and Jimmy said that we could both have seats in the 25, 50, 100 game that he runs. I take him up on the offer. It's refreshing to be back at this poker room, which is top-notch in every way. It's the nicest one that I've ever been to. I buy in for $15,000 to start. This is an uncapped game, but I tend to like buying in on the smaller side. As I get adjusted to the water, we can always add on for more once we get a feel for how everyone's playing. The session starts at about 4 p.m., and I can tell right away that it's going to be wild. I have no time constraints. We're looking to put in a long session. About a half hour in, we pick up pocket sevens in the cutoff. I'm down a little at the moment. Every time I've opened in a pot, someone's 3-bet. I haven't had much to fight back with yet. The hijack raises to 300 this hand. This opponent is very good. He's had a rough start though after losing a flip for stacks, and he's currently stuck 5 figures. We've got a hand that we can call or 3-bet with. We're going to fight fire with fire. I 3-bet to 1,000. I've officially entered myself into the high variance game that everyone else here seems to be playing. Don't expect to get to the flop. After a single raise, Mr. Hijack, you've officially been punished. The hijack 4-bets to 3,000. Well, now I've been repunished. This is about the 5th or 6th time that I've either raised or 3-bet, and I've gotten re-raised. The table's batting 1,000 against me, having not missed a single opportunity to stuff it in my face. Since we're only a half hour in, it's very possible that the opponents have just had it every time, but it's also very possible people are getting out of line. Maybe we're up against aces, kings, queens, ace king or ace queen, or some other ace-x wheel combo. We're supposed to split between calling and folding. When I suspect that we might be getting 4-bet on the lighter side, I'm more inclined to stick around. I call for 2,000 more. We're heads up in position. The flop comes 9-8-8 with 2 clubs. It's a flop that shouldn't change the lead. Either the opponent has an overpair or he's got ace or king high. The bad thing for us about this particular flop is that if the 9 or another overcard pairs, our 7s get counterfeited with 2 higher pair on the board. When the opponent 4-bets pre-flop, I expect him to c-bet at a high frequency. He doesn't disappoint. The hijack bets 2,000. It's 1/3 pot. We can't fold to the small sizing. I call, not knowing where we're at, but feeling okay about the situation. We mostly don't want to see an ace, king, or 8 come out. Stack to pot ratio is now less than 1. The turn is the 4 diamonds. It doesn't change anything. I'd be okay if the opponent pumped the brakes. It's not happening. Not today. Not in this game. The hijack announces that he's all in for 8,600 effective. He has us covered. He lets it be known, putting a superfluous amount of yellow 1K chips into the middle. Since I sat down at the table, I haven't been able to get in any kind of rhythm. Last time I played in this game, chips were flying around everywhere without anyone necessarily having all that strong of hands. Sometimes, you just have to take a stand when you sense that you're getting bullied. I call, putting everything at risk to pick off our opponent and send a message to the table. The hijack doesn't seem super confident as he asks me one question.
Sure.
We're running it twice in nearly a $30,000 pot, only a half hour into the session. The first river is the 9 of hearts. I'm going to be honest, it's going to be tough for us to win when we've got 7 high. That's okay though. That's why we run it twice. There's one more river card. The second one is the king of spades. Ace king was what I was initially hoping we were up against, but not anymore. There's basically no way that we're going to win half, a quarter, or even 1 bajillionth of the pot. The hijack has pocket queens. He wasn't messing around or getting out of line at all. I lose the maximum for not believing. Right away, I'm down $15,000. There's nothing like taking a break from tournaments to play cash games, but wait a minute, I found a loophole so I don't have to give all the chips that we have in front of us to our opponent.
Let me buy these back.
2 hours later, we've got pocket kings in the big blind. I've added on for 32,000 more. I'm in for 47,000 total. I'm still stuck, but I'm up a couple thousand from the low point. Another content creator named Eric is in the game. He's a Chinese streamer. Most people don't know this, but WHERE PROHIBITED. Eric raises to 300 from the button. I haven't picked up any premiums yet so far. It's one of the better times to be dealt cowboys. Looks like a good spot for us to 3-bet light. We're at the top of our range though. I 3-bet to 1,500. Part of the value in 3-betting a hand like pocket sevens like we did previously is that it actually adds value to our monster hands. We're not always going to have aces and kings. Eric knows that. He suspects that we don't have either right now as he 4-bets to 4,300. Before we decide how to proceed, I have one very important question for you that you've likely never been asked before. Have you ever seen the ceiling at the Wynn? Because it is gorgeous. I'm going to try and get the guy who designed it to do the ceilings at my house. Alright, anyway, let's try not to get sidetracked. Every time I've shown aggression, someone at the table has shown it right back. This is clearly a better situation than the one we were in before when we got 4-bet with a much smaller pocket pair. Our opponent has 30,000 total. We have him covered. If we jam, he's going to be able to fold everything worse than kings, other than maybe ace-king and maybe queens, but I wouldn't be surprised if he were able to part ways with those holdings. If we only call the 4-bet, the opponent gets to see a flop in position with worse hands like suited ace-x combos that have plenty of equity against us. We're going to check every flop, then the button will be able to control how large the pot gets from there. Kings is just too strong of a hand to flat. I 5-bet to 10,000. The button doesn't appear to have much of a decision, even though he's getting over 2.5 to 1 with position on us. He folds quickly. We catch the button, clearly attempting to make a play. Several thousand comes our way without us having to see a flop. It's a good result. We're only down 7,300 at the moment. Next, we're dealt ace-7 suited in the hijack with the nit game on for $100 per player. We need to win a hand so that we can get rid of the gold nit button in front of us and avoid having to pay out each player at the table. I raised to 300. If everyone folds, that wouldn't be a bad result. Instead, the cutoff calls. He's a competent player but not a pro. The button wants to advance to the next round. He calls as well. 3 of us are seeing the flop. The dealer puts out king 10-8 rainbow. We have nothing except backdoor draws. This is a type of flop that'll connect well with both of our opponent's pre-flop calling ranges. I check with plans of giving up if anyone bets. The cutoff and button both check behind us. We're seeing a free card. The turn is the 3 of clubs, giving us a flush draw. Since no one else was interested betting on the flop, maybe we can win this by taking a stab with only potential. I bet 600 is a semi-bluff. The cutoff folds immediately. I anticipate the button folding as well. It's really hard for him to have much when he checked back the previous street as the last player to act. Perhaps he's trying to get rid of his nit button. He raises to 2,300. I certainly didn't see that raise coming. I'm not even sure what he's representing other than maybe a turned set. I suppose that he could also have a flush draw. It's unlikely that he turned 2 pairs since the 3 is so uncoordinated with the other cards on the board. I call to see if we can improve. It's a pot over $5,000. The river is the jack of clubs, giving us the best lunchtime snack known to boy. We've got the Nutter Butters. Now we're faced with the task of extracting as much value as possible. The opponent is likely going to be concerned that we've got what we've got. If I check, he's going to check back a high percentage of the time. Often, I'll bet big in this scenario, and I'll rarely be bluffing. Opponents know that, and they're able to make folds with strong holdings. I go a different route this time, and I bet 1,400. It's a small sizing. Hands like sets, 2 pair, and top pair won't want to fold when they're getting 5 to 1. Mostly, I'm hoping to induce a raise though. This bet looks like a blocker bet. It should hopefully appear as if I'm trying to get to showdown for cheap with a marginal hand. In reality, I didn't think the opponent would have a lot of strong hands that he'd raise on the turn with. I'd love it if he was attempting to get rid of his nit button with his turn raise and wants to continue with his aggression to try and force a fold out of me. It won't work this time. If our opponent happens to have a set or flush, he may also raise for value. Ordinarily, I wouldn't think it'd be as likely that the button would raise with a set when the flush draw gets there, but when it's the backdoor flush that completes rather than the front door flush draw, it becomes more probable our opponent could think a set is good. The button apparently has a tough decision. He doesn't look happy. Ultimately, the button gathers chips, not quite as many as I'd like, and he makes the call. We show him that he's running to the stones. We at least get some money on the end. We never find out what the opponent looked us up with. We get the win and remain on the comeback trail. With this pot coming our way, we've got over 40,000 in our stack. We're only down 6,500 at the moment. I'm enjoying playing with this group, while one of my buddies, Mike Zolker's on TV at the final table of the PLO Championship event. He goes on to get second place for over $900,000. I love watching friends have deep runs and hit big scores. Over an hour and a half later, we look down at ace-7 suited again. We've gone on a very cold stretch, and I've actually added on for 2,500 more because my stack was on a decline, and I had some extra win chips in my pocket that I felt like putting in play. I'm in for 49,500 with 36,500 currently in our stack. I'm stuck 5 figures. The player on our right raises to 300. His name's Coco. He's the opponent who stacked me at the start of the session with pocket queens against my 7s. We can fold or 3-bet. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get revenge. I 3-bet to 1,000. You might be thinking, uh-oh, we're going off the rails a bit. But remember, the chip EV that we lose by seeking revenge is made up for by the emotional EV we gain from when it's successful. Revenge chips won are 2 to 3 times sweeter than regular chips won. This is stuff that they don't teach you in training sites. Our neighbor calls, we're heads up in position, the flop comes, 9-4 deuce rainbow, we've got nothing except 1 over and some backdoor draws. Under the gun +2 checks, we've got the betting lead. This isn't a flop that'll connect too well with the opponent's range. I bet 600 to retain control of the pot and potentially fold out some complete air hands that have equity against us. Under the gun +2 calls, he could just have something like Jack 10 with a backdoor flush draw, and we could conceivably be ahead. The turn is the 10 of hearts giving us a flush draw, the opponent checks. Just in case the opponent connected with the 10 or is slow playing a big hand, I check back to ensure that we're able to see the river. Maybe we can hit a second backdoor flush with ace-7 suited. The dealer puts out the 3 of clubs, we brick it and end up with ace high. Under the gun +2 checks. He might only have a better ace high or small to medium 1-pair hand at best. I try a play that I'd only attempt against someone who I thought was good. I overbet 3,600 to represent ace-5 suited. There's a common hand that people 3-bet with, and it just improved to make a straight. I know that my opponent is aware that we could have ace-5, and we might play it the same way. The opponent isn't folding right away like I thought he would though. No. It seems that I've gotten myself into more trouble than Smalls and the rest of the boys during the summer of 1962. The opponent comes out of nowhere and raises to 15,000. What is going on? Maybe he's the one with ace-5. I've had a rough session so far, but there's nothing we can do with our high card hand. I fold having no idea if Coco just put on a super baller bluff or if he actually has a monster. Coco's a good guy. He knows that we're filming and he slides his cards over for you guys to see that he rivered the nuts with 6-5 of hearts. If the river were a heart, we could have won a lot of money. Instead, we pretty much lose the maximum. Coco was very aware that we could have ace-5 and a lot of air combos, which is why he put in the astute check that earns him an extra 3,600. I'm getting torched with absolutely no one to blame but myself, and obviously Gus Hansen's book, Every Hand Revealed. I'm currently down 18,500. Days like this are rough. If I keep going at this pace, I'm going to run out of money and I'll only be able to play free rolls like this 100k one for you viewers who sign up to ClubWPT Gold using promo BRAD. To be eligible, just sign up with my code and make a purchase of any amount. First-time signups will also receive a 20 sweeps coin bonus, which are redeemable for cash at 1-to-1 with the US dollar. This is the softest internet poker that you're going to find anywhere, especially for the stakes. I'm regularly on the site, playing ring games and tournaments. Gold is by far the best option for US players, so be sure to check it out and make yourself eligible for the free roll that's coming up on September 21st. I'm planning to have a 6-figure free roll every few months for you guys who sign up using promo BRAD. I have more information in the description box below. In this one, we're dealt King Queen of clubs under the gun, but the small blind has bought the button. The big blind is first to act. He raises to 300. We can call or 3-bet Coco. I've given up on seeking revenge. I only call. Under the gun +1 is going to seek revenge for me, and also possibly to my detriment. He 3-bets to 1,800. This is the biggest difference between high stakes games and low stakes. The amount of 3-bet pots that take place at high stakes tables is substantially higher. The big blind folds. He doesn't have a hand that he wants to take to battle. With suited Broadway cards, we're hanging in there. I call for 1,500 more. We're heads up out of position. The flop comes Jack 8-6 with 2 diamonds and a club. We don't connect too well. We only have 2 overs and some backdoor draws. I check to the pre-flop aggressor. He doesn't waste a lot of time. He wants to make a wager, just not for too much. The opponent bets 1,000. I've seen him put quite a few small continuation bets out there, which is going to do well against people who don't check raise at a high enough frequency. When we're facing the small sizing, we can call or we can check raise. This time, I elect to check raise to 3,200. We're representing mostly sets and top type of hands. We can also have combo draws and occasionally even queens. Our raise gets the job done, the opponent folds, we win a fairly large pot with only king high. That's a good result for us as we're buried. But what may not be apparent yet in the video is that the game is good. If we can make some strong hands, we should be able to get paid. Making strong hands isn't always easy though. Here we're dealt Jack 3 suited in the small blind. It's the first hand with a new round of the Nick game going. What makes this hand even more fun is that Andrew Nemi stops by to say hello. His face is out of focus behind the top left corner of the Jack. Under the gun +1, opts to limp in for 100. We don't see this very often. It's a great sign because top players typically don't implement an open limp strategy in cash games. Under the gun +2 limps in. Jack 3 suited is a garbage hand, but with the Nick game going on and the price we're getting, I call for 75 more to see a cheap flop. The big blind calls. The under the gun straddler checks his option. We're going 5 ways to the flop, out of position. It comes 10-9-7 all clubs. We flop the flush with straight flush redraw possibilities, and we've got 4 opponents. It doesn't get much better than this. I check, just handing out rope for anyone to hang themselves with. The big blind checks. Under the gun says, all right guys, how much is in the pot? Perfect, that's minimally how much I want to lose. He bets 500. Under the gun +1 folds. Under the gun +2 folds. I'm tempted to flat and go for the check raise on the turn, but if another club comes out, it could be bad for us because we may lose to a higher flush, or it could make it tougher for us to get paid by a worse hand. We might as well try to get as much money in now with a hand that isn't likely to improve. I raise to 2,000. The big blind folds quickly. Under the gun isn't giving up as easily. He may be regretting making a pot-sized bet. He at least wants to see one more card. Under the gun calls for 1,500 more. There aren't going to be a lot of blank turns, so I'm sweating the next street pretty hard as we're heads up in a large pot. The turn is the 3 of diamonds. It doesn't get more blank than that. Part of me thinks that the opponent could be slow playing the ace-high flush, and I might be drawing dead to the 8 of clubs, but I can't always be afraid of monsters under the bed. When I was a kid, 8 out of 10 times there weren't any. You might be thinking, wow, that's a pretty high percentage of not having any monsters. And you're right. My dad was the manager at a popular circuit city, so we could afford to live in a pretty safe neighborhood. This is a good opportunity to continue going for value. I bet 3,000. It's 2/3 the size of the pot. Under the gun doesn't consider his options for long. He calls on the quicker side, indicating he likely has something worse than our jack-high flush. He's probably on some sort of draw. If he had us beat, he almost definitely would have taken his time to at least contemplate raising. The river is the 4 diamonds. We get a beautiful run out. The opponent has 11,000 left in his stack. It's just over a pot-sized bet. Rather than get greedy and rip it, I bet 6,000 for value. Gives us a better chance at getting called by worse. Under the gun isn't happy with the situation. It doesn't look like he's thinking about jamming. He's either going to call with worse or he's going to fold. Our line looks strong. Under the gun made a pot-sized bet on the flop with 4 opponents. Then we check raised and continued firing on the turn and river. One thing that we have working in our favor is that the Nick game is on, so there's more incentive for us to be making a move, but that isn't enough to keep our opponent interested in calling. He folds, knowing that we have to show our hand if we want to get rid of our nip button. I reveal that we flopped the flush. We weren't bluffing. Under the gun says that he folded a set of 7s. Our read regarding his quick call was somewhat correct. The opponent was kind of on a draw. It was to the full house, but he suspected that his set alone wasn't good. He makes a great fold on the river. We win a substantial 5-figure pot to make our deficit more manageable. Nearly 6.5 hours into the session, we're dealt ace-10 suited in the small blind. My buddy Varun races to 300 from under the gun +2. Coco has made a full recovery after losing a flip at the start of the session, being down 25,000 at that point. He's back to even, and also back to his old tricks with a 3-bet to 1,000. This is an easy spot to avoid. We have basically no money invested. We can just fold. We'll see solvers mix in a cold 4-bet with ace-10 suited a sliver of the time in situations like this, but it's negligible at around a 10% frequency. I choose to randomize. Our random number generator is going to pick a number between 1 and 100. If it selects something between 90 and 100, I'm going to get aggressive. If it selects a lower number under 90, I'll let it go. Here's the actual audio of my RNG in action. It seems the number generator has randomly selected Revenge. I cold 4-bet to 3,500. We have removal to strong hands like aces and ace-king. This is our first cold 4-bet of the session. We should get credit for a high pair or ace-king. The initial pre-flop raiser gives it a good amount of thought before he reluctantly folds. This session's nemesis still hasn't conceded. He wants to see a flop in position against us. Coco calls for 2,500 more. There's over 7,000 already in the pot. We've got a mediocre hand. What have I gotten us into? The flop comes 10-9-8 with 2 diamonds. On the surface, it seems okay because we've got top, but there are a lot of bad turns for us, and this is the sort of flop that hits our opponent's 4-bet call range pretty hard. He can have all the sets, even some overpairs. He'll have flush and straight draws as well. He could have even flopped a straight. I check. It's rare that we'll have better than one pair here, although we could occasionally have a set of 10s, which we have removal for. The button probably likes seeing the check from us. He bets 2,500. This is already uncomfortable. We're flying blind with a low probability of a positive outcome, but how do we fold top to a small bet? We don't. We take things one street at a time. I call to see what develops. Maybe the turn will be something like the jack of diamonds and we'll be able to get away from this with no sweat. The dealer puts out the deuce of spades. It couldn't be more blank. I was almost rooting for a bad card just so that we'd have an excuse to fold and get out of the jam that I've gotten us into. I check, knowing that Coco's going to fire big almost no matter what he's got. The button doesn't fail to put us to the test. He bets 8,000. This is the toughest spot that I've been in all night. Are we up against a straight, a set, an overpair, maybe 2-pair, or maybe just a draw of some sort? Maybe we're up against air or pocket 7s and the opponent is applying max pressure, knowing that it'll be extremely difficult for us to call down even if we had a hand like aces. I expected Coco to check back some of his 1-pair hands, so I mostly get the sense that he has a monster, but the 10 of diamonds isn't accounted for. He could potentially have jack 10, queen 10, or some other Broadway hand containing 2 diamonds that we're ahead of. We at least have removal to aces and a set of 10s. We could have potentially played those 2 holdings the same way up to this point. The opponent has 36,000 total. We have him slightly covered. Devious thoughts are creeping into my mind. I'm concerned that if we call, the river's going to be tough for us to play almost no matter what comes out. I abandoned the philosophy of taking things one street at a time. I'm going to make a move now. That's right. We rip it for 36,000 affected to play one of the biggest pots I've ever played. If we're up against 2-pair or better, we're about to lose it all. If we're up against a combo draw, we put the pressure back on Coco while we get our money in good, unless he has ace-10 of diamonds. If we're up against an overpair like queens, we're mostly representing a set of 10s or pocket aces, and Coco's going to be inclined to fold. We don't get snap called, so we can rule out being up against straights and sets. Coco's deep in the tank. Generally, poker sessions can be somewhat boring with only few moments of exhilaration, like right now. It doesn't get more exciting and nerve-wracking than this. In a few seconds, we might be up tens of thousands of dollars, or we might be stuck 50,000. Our fate will be determined by what Coco does, and possibly the second card off the deck. Coco has to have 1 pair at best. He knows that we're not going to have a straight. I get the sense that we're going to get called and lose. There's a decent chance I'm about to get absolutely wrecked for inserting myself into a hand that I could have just gotten away from pre-flop. The button has been in the tank for 2 minutes. Finally, he comes to a decision. To my relief, he folds.
I have to watch the blood. Yeah.
You have 10 in diamonds?
I didn't have
You have 10
it.
diamonds?
Not quite. Was that good?
See the video. No.
Did you have jacks?
This was such a massive hand that other people at the table started filming it. This is the footage from Boston Jimmy. Coco would eventually reveal that he folded pocket kings. He played his hand a little tricky pre-flop by not 5-betting it, but it was very reasonable. I honestly had no idea where I was at. I thought that there was some chance we were ahead, some chance we were crushed, and some chance that we could get folds out of better 1-pair combos. It's not the most orthodox hand, but it works out great. As much as I enjoy getting revenge, I like Coco. I give him some time to decompress and take down pots before letting him know that we had ace-10. The win gets us all the way out of the hole. We risked everything, but it works out as we come away with the victory and over $14,000 more than what we started the hand with. It's a fortunate outcome that results in us being up $7,500 after being down about $20,000 earlier on. When a hand like that works out, I get the sense that we're going to have a big night. We just need to keep things going. We pick up pocket jiggities under the gun +1. I raise to 300. The player in middle position and the hijack both call. The action's on the big blind Eric. He 3-bets to 2,200. This is about 15 minutes after we just won the largest pot that we've played tonight. We don't even get an opportunity to enjoy having our newly acquired chips before they're right back in action. I call. 4-betting would be slightly overplaying our pair, although that didn't stop us in the ace-10 hand. The other two players fold. We're heads up with the guy who's already shown us that he's willing to re-raise light when he 4-bet, then snap folded to our small 5-bet with kings. The flop comes king 10-8 with 2 clubs. We've got second pair and some backdoor draws. It's not a terrible flop for us, but the opponent will connect pretty well with it a lot of the time. We're almost 7 hours into the session and still haven't hit a set. Looks like dreams of accomplishing that will have to wait. The big blind bet's 2,500. I'm already not thrilled with the situation, but we have to see at least one more card. I call. I prefer not to face continued aggression as the pot has become a significant one. The turn is the 4 diamonds. It's a blank. We can no longer make a flush or straight this hand. The big blind isn't going to give us a free card. He bets 6,600, representing top pair or better. I don't like the situation. We may or may not be good, but I fold. Eric asks the dealer for a favor, indicating that he probably has a drawing hand.
Adam, I think he's can you just do room service?
The river is the 7 of clubs. The flush draw gets there. It makes me happier with my decision to fold. Coco suspects that Eric was semi-bluffing with clubs as well. Eric later confirms that he 3-bet light with ace-5 of clubs, barreled flop and turn, then would have made the nuts. He at least does well to get me to fold the best hand on the turn. With a Nick game on, I pick up pocket jiggities once again. It's the same suits and everything, but this time we're in the small blind. Under the gun +1 limps in for 100. Hijack calls 100 as well. People aren't going to see a flop for the minimum when we're holding a premium. I raised to 1,200. I went big because we're playing deep from out of position and I want to get rid of the nip button. Under the gun is the same player we flopped the flush against earlier. He 3-bets to 5,000 off of a stack of only about 11,000. I saw the same player 3-bet big in a similar spot with ace-10 offsuit, which makes me very unwilling to part ways with our jacks. The limpers fold, the action's back on us. I'm not going to be folding. If we just call, the pot will be a lot bigger than effective stack sizes because under the gun only has about 6,000 behind. I rip it for 11,175 effective. We could be up against plenty of worse hands. The opponent makes the call as I expected. Under the gun wants to run it twice with over 20,000 in the middle. That's okay with me. We're running it 2 times, not knowing what we're up against yet. The first flop comes ace-7-6 with 2 hearts. I don't like that one too much. The turn is the deuce of diamonds. It's no help. The river is the 3 of hearts. We've got second pair, and we're likely going to lose at least half the pot. The good news is that we still haven't hit a set today. I think it's about to come. The second flop is king 10 deuce rainbow. In the off chance that we were up against pocket 10s, we're no longer scooping against that hand, and we're smoked if we're up against queens, kings, or ace king. It's not looking good for us. The opponent reveals that he has ace-king of spades to have us completely destroyed. The turn is the 8 of clubs. We're drawing dead to 2 outs. The river is the 9 of hearts. Jiggities lose us about $16,000 between 2 hands. Remember those 25 minutes when we were winning on the session? That was really something. Well, now we're stuck 5 figures once again. I'm down over 13,000 total on the night. It's tough to sustain any momentum. I have to surrender my 5K flagships. I really love those guys. It's not very enjoyable to watch them go to another opponent. Still, it's important to try to keep a level head when we're losing. That's usually easier said than done though. It's time for double board PLO bomb pot. We're dealt double suited queen 10 5-5. All 9 of us put in $100 each and we're going straight to 2 flops. The first one is king 10 6 rainbow. We don't have a ton there except middle pair and backdoor draws. What we really wanted to see was the 5. There obviously aren't any on that board. That's because they're both on the second flop. It's 8-5-5. We've got quads with half the pot virtually locked up. Checks the hijack. He steps right into the trap, making a pot size bet of 900. When we're probably only going to win half the pot, we really want to see another person join in on the action. The button calls, which is great for us. These bomb pots are capped at $3,000 post flop. Ordinarily, I just flat to give the players between us and the hijack a chance to stay in, but I can tell they're already getting ready to fold to the $900 bet, so I go ahead and raise to $3,000 in order to cap it. The hijack and button are both getting decent prices, but they could be drawing dead on the board where we've got quads. The hijack calls anyway. The button quickly goes to his stack to make the call as well. 3 of us are in. There's no more action. The top turn is the jack of clubs. It's a great card for us because we pick up a Broadway draw and a flush draw. All of a sudden, we have a solid chance at scooping a $9,900 pot. The bottom turn is the king of hearts. It's a decent card for us because we don't have to worry about losing the quad kings. The top river is the 6 of diamonds. We don't improve. We're probably only going to win half the pot. The bottom river is the 10 of clubs. We still have the nuts there. I showed the table that about $5,000 of the pot is going to come our way. The hijack reveals ace queen jack 10 for a straight. He got it in with middle pair and a wrap on the top board, but only ace high on the bottom board. He gets rewarded with half the pot. The button understandably got it in with jack 8-8-4. He flopped top boat on the bottom board, but he gets scooped. There's not much that he could have done there. We aren't able to win the entire pot. It's still nice to hit quads and make some money with it. Here we're dealt ace jack offsuit under the gun, but the big blind bought the button, so we're first to act. I raised to 300. My buddy Varun is in the hijack. He calls. The cutoff wants to see if he can improve on the flop. He calls. The big blind calls as well. We're going 4 ways to the flop with the hand that tends not to play too well multi-way unless it improves a 2 pair or better. The dealer puts out ace 10-5 rainbow. We've got top pair, but 3 opponents. This is the exact scenario that can lead to trouble. The big blind checks. I want to see what the players behind me feel like doing. I check to them. Varun's going to take a stab. He bets 500. He could have a set, 2 pair, or even ace queen. The cutoff folds. The big blind can't let his cards go yet. He calls. I didn't check with intentions of folding. I call. Again, we're flying a bit blind, but our top pair is slightly under-repped. The turn is the deuce of diamonds. It's a total blank, except 4-3 makes a straight. It's possible that the big blind improved to the wheel. He checks. I check to Varun. We're going to get a lot of valuable information based on what he does here. After thinking it over, Varun checks back, which I don't think he'd do with ace queen or better. He could have an ace with a bad kicker or something even worse like a Broadway draw. The river is the deuce of spades, which pairs the board. As long as the big blind doesn't have a hand like 4-3 or 3 deuce, we should be best. The big blind checks, making it even less likely that he has a straight or trips. We're going to go fairly large. I bet 2,000 to target top pair hands with kickers that no longer play, like ace 9 through ace 6, ace 4, and ace 3. Could look like we're trying to buy out with a combo like king queen. The hijack takes his time to consider his options. He's going to put up a fight. He calls. The big blind folds. We turn over our ace jack. It's good enough to win the whole pot. Varun later tells me that he had an ace with a kicker that didn't play like we suspected. We win a nice one that helps keep things going in a positive direction. We're not down too much anymore. We're back in 4-figure deficit territory. Next we're dealt ace 8, the dead man's hand. That's definitely not foreshadowing. We're under the gun +2 with a nip button in front of us. I raised to 300. A player in middle position calls. Varun is out for blood. He 3-bets to 1,500 from the button. Folding and calling are both okay options. One is significantly more fun though. I call for an additional 1,200. The opponent on our left folds. We're heads up out of position. The flop comes jack 9-8 with 2 hearts. We've got bottom pair and a flush draw on a flop that'll be good for our 3-bet calling range. We'll occasionally have straights and sets. I check it to the pre-flop aggressor. Our opponent is always very calculated with his decisions. He bets 1,200. Should we pounce now or pounce later? We might currently have the best hand with our pair, and the board is likely to get better for us. There's no need to immediately raise and sort of turn our hand into a bluff. I call the 1,200. Quite a few cards can help us improve to a monster or the nuts. The dealer puts out the 9 of spades, pairing the board. It's not a card that'll help the button that frequently. I check. I wouldn't be surprised to see a check back, but I also know that Varun likes to keep the pressure on by firing multiple bullets, whether he has a strong hand or not, which makes him tough to play against. He bets 3,000. He has 18,000 total. I doubt the button has trip 9s. He probably doesn't have the only remaining combination of pocket 8s for a small full house either. As long as he doesn't have a straight or pocket jacks, he'd probably have a hard time calling a check raise. I say nothing as I slide in enough yellow 1K chips to cover the opponent. We're not out to mess around today. There's no snap calls, so we're not up against trips or better. It's decision time for the button, and he's rightfully going to think it over for a little while. Varun could have top pair or an overpair of some sort. Does he really want to risk everything that he's got though? The button decides to stay patient. He folds. We get the semi-bluff jam through to win another solid pot. We have to show our cards in order to get rid of the nip button. I turn over the ace 8 of hearts. The table sees that we check raise ripped it with bottom pair and a heart draw. I'm not entirely sure it wasn't the best hand. The table wants to see what would have happened if Varun called, and we ran it twice. The first river would have been the 8 of spades. We would have gotten there with a sneaky full house. The second river would have been the queen of diamonds. we wouldn't have improved and likely would have lost a second run out to split the pot. I'm glad it worked out like it did and we won outright instead. I told you that picking up Dead Man's Hand definitely wasn't foreshadowing, and I was actually telling the truth. All of a sudden, we're only stuck about 3,500. If you learn one thing from watching this poker vlog, I hope you learn this. It's bad luck to leave stuck. I've literally never won while doing it. We're gonna stay until we're in the black. As for Varun, he gets it all in for an enormous pot with a royal flush draw holding ace king of spades against pocket nines on a queen 10-9 two spade flop. They agree to run it twice for over $20,000 each. Varun hits the 4 of spades on the first run out, then the 6 of spades on the second run out. The rivers for both runouts are blanks. Varun doubles up, taking down a pot of over $40,000. It's a sick hand that works out for my friend. I need to take lessons from him on how to scoop after getting it all in and running it twice. It's past 1 a.m. when we pick up ace jack of clubs in middle position. I raise to 300. The cutoff calls. He's the opponent who cracked my jacks on both runouts with his ace king suited. He's lost all the chips he's gotten from me and more. He seems to be on tilt as he calls with the shortest stack at the table. The small blind calls. This is teed up for a nice 3-bet squeeze. Under the gun, doesn't miss it. He 3-bets to 2,400 to try and win without seeing community cards. Our hand has plenty of potential and plays decently well in position. I call for 2,100 more. I'd expect the cutoff to fold. If he calls, he'll have a little more than half a pot size bet remaining in his stack. People tend not to do what I expect. The cutoff calls, leaving himself with only 4,250 behind. The small blind won't be joining us. He folds. We're playing a 3-way, 3-bet pot with one player behind us who might be in desperation mode. Come on, dealer, pick me. The flop comes queen 4-4 with 2 spades. We don't connect. The 3-better may not have connected either. He checks. I'm not going to take a stab into multiple opponents. I check. We see the cutoff immediately slide in chips to go all in for 4,250. Under the gun folds. I suspect that the cutoff doesn't have much and we're getting nearly 3-1. I go with my read and snap call with ace high. If I'm wrong and the opponent has a queen, we're in trouble. If he has any pair, we're also not in great shape, and if he has trips somehow, we're practically dead. The cutoff wants to run it twice. That's okay with me. We've got ace high with no draw in an all-in pot of over $15,000. If we somehow win this, we'll be back in Profitville for the day, but we've gone way out on a limb to try and accomplish that. I already made a light all-in call with pocket sevens and was wrong earlier in the session. You'd think I would have learned my lesson, but I go with my intuition again in this instance, wishing for a different result, and this is even more speculative. The first turn is the 7 of diamonds. It doesn't change anything from my perspective. I literally might be drawing dead. The river is the king of clubs. It's a bad card for multiple reasons. For one thing, it burns my backdoor flush and straight outs on the next run out. Also, king high spades improved to beat me for at least half the pot. I likely punted and need to hit a miracle for the second run out in order to get any money coming back to us. The second turn is the queen of clubs. We pick up a flush draw, but it pretty much doesn't matter because if the opponent has a queen or 4, we're already dead. The river is the 8 of diamonds. We don't improve, and we're going to have a lot of explaining to do about why we called the shove for several thousand more with ace high. I already feel like an idiot. The opponent doesn't look too happy about the runouts either, though.
See anything?
The opponent missed his flush draw with 5-3 of spades. My read was spot on. I no longer feel like an idiot. I'm obviously a genius, and I never had any doubt about it. I knew it. You guys knew it. Everybody knew it. I finally learned from Varun how to win an all-in when running it twice. It's a huge pot that allows us to be up once again on the day after battling for 9 hours. The table's shocked at what they've just seen.
Wow, what a call it is. Nice.
They need to put it on the video.
Yeah.
This one definitely.
What's the side of the flow?
Check order. Check order.
With these shifts in front of us, we're up 1,500 on the session, and we're not going home. The very next hand, we're dealt pocket 10s under the gun +2 with over 50,000 in our stack. I raised to 300. The hijack, after rebuying for 10,000 more, makes the call. He's the opponent that we stacked in the last hand. I'm sure that he's at the top of his calling range. Varun's on the button. He 3-bets to 1,400. We remain setless so far in the session, despite having lots of opportunities being dealt a handful of pocket pairs. The best players in the world will tell you that there's no such thing as being due. I'm here to tell you that we're due. I call for 1100 more. The hijack called a 3-bet for 40% of his stack in the previous hand with 5-3 of spades. It's a small miracle that he somehow finds a fold in this instance. We're heads up, out of position, about to battle with a buddy. Bears, beats, battle with a buddy. The flop comes 10-8-3 with 2 spades. We flop top set in a 3-bet pot against an opponent that we check jammed on light less than an hour and a half ago. This couldn't be set up better for us to make the maximum. We've got a monster holding. While we've already shown a propensity to make big moves, our credibility is low and the ceiling is still beautiful. I showed it to you guys earlier. I checked the pre-flop aggressor. Immediately, the opponent goes to his chips, collects a few, and bets 1200. There's some draws to be slightly concerned about, but if we're up against an overpair and we can get a blank on the next street before springing our trap, we might be able to win a ton of money and potentially stack an opponent 2 hands in a row, except this time it'd be for much, much more. It's difficult to resist the urge to pile it in when we 100% have the best hand right now, but it pays to be patient. I call. Come on, be a blank, be a blank, be a blank. The turn is the 5 of diamonds, everything gets there. And by that, I mean that my hopes that we'll get a good 4th card and aspirations that we'll win a big pot both get there. Nothing actually improves. It couldn't be more of a blank turn. I check. I'm anticipating a large wager on a brick 5. We don't have to wait long. The button seemingly has a system for determining how much he wants to bet. He multiplies the most recent card denomination by 1,000, flinging 5,000 into the pot. I saw him implement this same betting technique in a previous hand when the action was on him and he attempted to bet Jack 1000. Okay, we've been playing it pretty cute up to this point in the hand. It's time to go for it. I raised to 14,000. Anyone at the table who's been paying attention has to be thinking this is the 3rd time I've taken a similar line in a 3 or 4 bet pot with check calling the flop, then check raising to a substantial amount on the turn. We did it with ace 10 against Coco, and we did it with ace 8 of hearts against the same opponent. This is the first time that we've actually had what we were representing. Varun got that double up earlier, hitting the nuts on both runouts with his royal flush draw. He's got a large stack, and we have him covered. If he actually has an overpair and he doesn't buy our story, we might end up getting it all in on this street or on the river to play a $90,000 pot. Most of the time, I check raise on the flop with multiple draws out there, so it might be hard for our opponent to piece together our story. He could put us on some sort of ace-deuce, ace-4, or queen-jack suited combo draw. This is by far the best setup that we've had all session to win potentially tens of thousands of dollars. Varun is contemplating what to do. He clearly has something decent, or he would have folded by now. He knows that if he calls, he'll have about a pot-sized bet remaining, and I'm likely going to rip the river. After about a minute in the tank, Varun makes the laydown. He's a friend, so I let him know that that was the correct decision.
Huge fold, Varun.
What's that? No overpair. I'm just like, what are you going to do that with?
I mean, I did it with a flush draw on.
I have overpair.
Yeah. Nice fold. Nice fold.
We win back-to-back large pots to go from being down several $1,000s to being up nearly 10,000. I have to give Varun credit for folding an overpair, especially to me when I've been showing a willingness to bluff big in similar situations all night. He owns me with the fold. I likely wouldn't have been able to make the same laydown if I were in his shoes. I tip my hat off to him. I play for only a little while longer, racking up after nearly a 10-hour session. I lose some back before deciding to call it a night. I know that if I got stuck again after climbing out of 5-figure holes on 2 separate occasions, I'd be pretty pissed. I book a win of $4,960. It was a roller coaster session that could have easily ended up in a gigantic loss. I'm content to come away from it with a win. That's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe buttons. It helps out the channel a ton. Don't forget to sign up to ClubWPT Gold using code BRAD. That way you're eligible for that 100K free roll coming up on September 21st. Also, the main event vlogs are coming out next, so I can't wait to share that with you. It's the best I've ever done in the main event. Be sure to be on the lookout for those vlogs. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're staying safe. Good luck at the tables, and I'll see you next time.